speak. Beautiful. Okay, so this series of webinars, we have, as you can see, they are by quality area. So we have 7 quality areas, of course, of the National Quality Standards. So I run every fortnight, so every second Monday, there are webinars on each of the quality areas, and they are on rotation. So not to worry if you miss out on one. Okay, you can catch up, and all you've got to do is to hook into my webpage, my Facebook page, and that will be there. Or you have my email. Please do not hesitate to send me an email, and that's at info.trains@gmail.com. So happy to let you know when the next couple of webinars are. Now, they are $20, so I think that's quite a reasonable amount to pay for a webinar. You do get a certificate of participation, you do get a copy of the slides in PDF format, and you always do get a little bonus as well that I throw in. So it's ultimate value, so that's great. All right, so let's get started. So quality area 3, physical environment. Now, what do you think of when you hear the phrase physical environment? Now, what do you think it includes? If I could get some feedback in the chat box, what do you think it's referring to when it says physical environment? Yes, beautiful, outdoor space. And indoor, of course, yes. So all those play spaces. So when we consider the physical environment, we generally focus on how we are setting it up for the children, whether it's indoors or outdoor space. Okay, now you have to bear with me. I'm playing around with my little chat box so I can actually see my slides okay. So that shouldn't interfere with your view, so you should be able to see that okay. All right. Okay, all right. I might just have to shut down my little chat box for a minute so I can see my screen. Okay, there we go. So standard 3.1, the design and location of the premises is appropriate for the operation of the service. Now, what does this mean? So in this context, we are referring to all outdoor and indoor spaces. We're referring to the buildings, the furniture, the equipment, the facilities and the resources which you are having at your service that provides a stimulating learning and care environment for children. You're considering all of the premises, the furniture and the equipment, and making sure that they're safe and clean and very well maintained. Because this does fit in line with quality area 2, children's health and safety, and that you are enhancing the learning environment for children. It's also about the facilities, that they're designed or adapted in a way that ensures active participation by every child in the service. So I trust that within your service you have an inclusion policy, that by designing and adapting your physical space, you are providing that accessibility to children. And it's promoting flexible use and interaction between that indoor and outdoor space at all times. Now, some centres, I'm seeing that not all centres are having that indoor-outdoor free play, that we're still seeing some centres that are having, it's either indoor or it's outdoor. Now, sometimes this does depend on ratio, it does depend on the amount of staff. Okay, so if you're the only one in the room, it's going to be difficult for you to have indoor and outdoor play. So, but it's fantastic because we want the children to develop that sense of agency where they are making the decision. And so when we have that indoor-outdoor play, that's a great opportunity. So the program format, now that's going to indicate the resources that we make available for the children. It also indicates the positioning of the learning areas. So you will have respective learning areas within your room. Now this is both for inside and outside. and the expected scheduling of those fixed routines and those transitions that you have. Now, integral to this concept is that there still needs to be flexibility, and that's what I was talking about with your indoor and outdoor play. But also with the equipment, we need to ensure that there is flexibility, and that equipment can be rearranged to accommodate the children's interests, and that we are responding to that need for spontaneous learning opportunities. So this provision is simply to ensure that any required materials are identified and that we do have them available at the time so that we can implement this program. And we can reduce any necessity for educators to have to disappear into the storeroom when we should be interacting with the children. We shouldn't be disappearing into the storeroom looking for things. Okay, we need to make sure that our areas are set up for the children for the day, because children are paramount. They have to be our main focus. Now, this part of the program format, it's usually developed with room staff together. I do hope that you, in your environment, that you are working collaboratively with the other staff members, and you may have an idea of, in your own mind, what you would like to have for your room, how you would like to set up your space. So often in the form of a floor plan, you'll have and you'll be marking areas for each of the learning spaces, and then you might even have a separate template which lists the resources that you need and the scheduling of those routines. And also perhaps if you do schedule when the children go outside, or whether it's just an ad hoc thing that you have a chat with your room staff and say, beautiful, let's go outside. Or perhaps if you're in a larger centre where you have a shared space outdoors, you might have a specific time that your group of children do go outside. Because we do need to be considerate of the dynamics of the children, the age groups, and making sure that it is a safe space for the children. Now, I'm not saying that it needs to be regulated. Okay, we don't want to have a regulated approach, but each centre will develop their own format in which it suits their play environment. Okay, standard 3.1. The design and location of the premises is appropriate for the operation of the service. So what should we be considering? What are your thoughts? What do we need to consider? If I could have some comments, that would be really great. Once again, loving the interaction. Okay, yes, we are considering the space that we have. Thanks, Crystal. Okay, now we do need to remember that this is not the Karen show, okay? This is a time for everybody to be interactive, and I know some of you might be sitting there thinking, oh, I'm not too sure what to write, or perhaps I'm a bit embarrassed to write stuff, so that's okay. All right. So even though holistic approaches to children's learning, we do recognise holistic learning, there's often allocated space for different aspects. And we do need to acknowledge that children's learning, it cannot be restricted to one specific area of development. Okay, so all equipment, experiences, and all premises are suitable for the purpose of caring and educating children. Remember that, the two key words, in our qualification, education and care. So we need to make sure that the space and the equipment, but also about the room being comfortable, isn't it? Making sure that we have appropriate ventilation, lighting, heating and cooling, and so on. But we all like to be in a comfortable place. So the facilities and materials which do not pose a threat to children's health and well-being while they are being cared for and educated by a service. So this is something that we would have also talked about when we were discussing quality area 2, children's health and safety. Okay, now we're moving on to the elements. So element 3.1.1. Outdoor and indoor spaces, buildings, furniture, equipment, facilities and resources are suitable for their purpose. So how can we achieve this? Okay, so we need to have age-appropriate equipment and experiences. We need to have regular safety checks for indoor and outdoor play spaces for the children. So I trust at your centre you are doing indoor and outdoor checks in the morning throughout the day. It's not just that time that we have that checklist in front of us. We've always got our eyes and our ears open for anything that might be posing a risk, that might be a hazard for the children. Okay, and regular checks, as I said, on play equipment and materials. When we have play equipment, we must ensure that it is safe, that it does not have sharp edges, that it is stable and it's not rocky in its space. So we must always be having a bit of an eagle eye when it comes to the equipment. And if it's not safe, what do? We remove it, and we might place a note in the communication book and advise the staff. Okay, nice little picture there. Now let's think about emerging and literacy and numeracy skills. Okay, we're moving on to curriculum here. We need to ensure that we do have these different learning areas. But on a particular day, we might connect it specifically to one area. So if we were concentrating on literacy and numeracy, okay, we have our different learning areas around the room. Now, we can take literacy and numeracy and it can be translated into a number of different learning areas. What are some typical learning areas that you have in your room? Okay, I'd like you to type in some ideas. What are some permanent learning areas that you have within your space in your room? I'll give you some examples, like the block or construction area. Might have a book corner. So what else would you have in your children's play space? Okay, yeah, beautiful home corner. I've got some quiet people on the line tonight. That's okay. Art corner, beautiful. Thank you. Okay, I think I've got some quiet achievers, but that's all fine. I'll just keep going with that. So, yeah, the art corner, a creative space where there's painting and drawing and perhaps modelling if you have clay, or the well-loved Play-Doh. Gotta love that Play-Doh. Dance and movement. Okay, dramatic role-play area like the home corner. A variety of different games or a writing area, music. And the list goes on. So these permanent learning areas that are in your room, we need to make sure that we are jumbling up the resources that are in there. So the permanent learning areas can stay there, but we need to make sure that we are making it interesting, that we are stimulating the children, that we are making it challenging for them to enhance their learning. But knowing that when we think of one aspect of the child's learning and development, that can occur in any of these learning spaces. If we think about literacy and numeracy, that was our example, it doesn't have to be at an activity table of like a writing experience. Now, it can be a science and discovery table. It could be in the home corner where there's counting. Okay, so let's think outside the square, shall we? Okay, element 3.1.2. Okay, that the premises, furniture and equipment are safe, clean and well maintained. Yes, most definitely. How can we achieve that? So we need to make sure that children's toys are regularly checked and cleaned. that the premises is checked for safety, especially insect infestations and vermin control. Yes. Used to hate, I worked in a centre that was a little bit on the old side, and yes, we would have the occasional mouse in the storeroom, so yeah, that was a bit yucky. And safety checks done on a regular and daily basis for wear and tear on experiences and materials, and age-appropriate experiences offered to children. So let's think about younger children, for example. Now, younger children need areas, where they can focus on their gross motor development. So they're going to be crawling, they're going to be practicing their walking and climbing, and they're going to be touching the different play items, different equipment, different furniture. So we need to make sure that we are providing a healthy and safe environment. They will also be exploring their sensory motor development. So yes, the rattles, the shakers, the equipment that goes into the mouth a lot in the baby's room, babies and toddlers as well. Music and the mirrors. I was visiting a student and we had children licking the glass door, and so we need to make sure that we are keeping these environments healthy and clean for the children. Okay, books, dramatic play and puppets, which the children love, block play and construction. So yeah, the Lego blocks, they tend to go in the mouth as well. For preschool children, now they do appreciate a wider choice of activities and generally go to the tabletop experiences. That doesn't mean that we don't still have the same concentration of health and safety. We need to make sure that we are on top of that. Okay, so 3.1.3. Facilities are designed or adapted to ensure access and participation by every child in the service and to allow flexible use and interactions between indoor and outdoor space. How can we achieve this? So we need to have access, make sure it's available to children, families and visitors. Yes, so making sure that we do have that inclusive access available at all times. So that includes wheelchair access. It's available via ramps, and facilities are flexible to alter for wheelchair access. Indoor and outdoor space can be accessed simultaneously if required, and all children's areas are easily accessed by children and is easily supervised by staff. Okay. Now, when we position our learning areas, we need to consider some things like the amount of physical activity that's going to be involved. So if we think outdoors and we have our trikes and our bikes and our scooters, we need to perhaps think about, well, where are the children going to ride these? Do we have an outside bike track? We need to consider activities that require unhindered floor space. So that might be floor puzzles. So especially in the older age group, they love the floor puzzles and the games. And when we have music and movement experiences, we need to make sure that we do have that space. We need to consider the activities. So when we have tabletop activities, we need to make sure that we have ample tables and also the chairs as well. The children will get to know how many children are recommended for one particular play space. It's quite amusing because you will hear the children, they will mimic you. So you often quite say, now remember this table, it's only for 4 people. And then you might go off and be interacting with another child and you hear from the other side of the room, only 4 people. And it will be one child telling another child that there's already 4. So I think that's quite cute. It tells you they are listening. I just had to check in that everybody can still hear me and see the PowerPoint slides. If I could just get some feedback, all good, can hear you, can see you, all of that. Oh, beautiful. Okay, thank you. Yes, we do have a very quiet crowd this morning. For this morning, I'm still in, I don't know, yeah, this evening. Oh goodness, I think I need more sleep. Okay, the noise level, so that it does not disturb quieter activities, yes, such as looking at books. Would we have a construction area that's right next to the book corner? Okay, so let's consider the appropriate space. Let's consider the need to be near a water source. So if you, for example, need to be near a trough for cleaning up, or you have that painting and that craft activity, we need to consider that space. And we need to consider the safety considerations, especially if there are doors that open inwards. Okay, so we need to make sure that children are not next to the doors. So quite often the doors are opening inwards to the rooms. I've worked at a centre where they have a group time in the morning, and also sort of like before meal times. They tend to have a group time as part of their routine and their transition to meal time. But where the mat is, it's very close to the door, the entrance. So we always have to tell the children to move in and make sure that they're not near the door, because that is a safety risk for the children. The standard 3.2, the environment is inclusive. It promotes competence, independent exploration and learning through play. What does this mean? So outdoor and indoor spaces are designed and effectively organised to engage every child in quality experiences involving the built and natural environments. The spaces provide the flexibility to respond to children's individual needs, development, self-initiated play and exploration. Resources, materials and equipment are sufficient in number, organised in ways that extend every child's participation in the program and are consistently used in numerous ways. Now, a little bit of a heads up. Okay, when we talk about our 7 steps to excellence, when I'm referring to the standard and what it actually means, this is actually taken from the assessment and rating tool. Okay, this is the expectation if you are to be assessed and rated as exceeding. This is what you need to be demonstrating. Okay, so it's very good for you to pay close attention to the terminology that is in here. It does not say sometimes, it is an expectation that you are always doing this. So the spacing allocations for different activities, this is also going to vary, and children need room to freely move in an uncluttered environment. So not just the positioning of where the experiences are, but to ensure that there are clear pathways to each of the experiences and play areas. Your learning areas, they must be set up so that it encourages both that individual and also small group play with children, especially when we are focusing on that social engagement with children. Now, some areas will be very much child initiated, so therefore you have no control over that aspect. Okay, not that you want to have control, but what I'm saying is about the physical space. So you have no idea when a child is going to initiate their play. And then you also do have adult-initiated activities. So, for example, we have perhaps planned to intentionally teach a specific skill. It might be weaving, so you might have threading at a table, because some of the children have demonstrated an interest. That might not have been something that you planned, but because of a conversation that you've had, you will set up that play experience for the children. So certain areas can be defined with furniture and rugs. You can use open shelving, and that can be used as, you know, a wall as well as an area to display the resources. So quite often we refer to them as room separators. So there might be some shelving where you're able to separate those play spaces, but they're also utilised as shelving for those self-help opportunities. We might have drapes, we could have rugs and cushions, and they could be used for the acquired interest area, and perhaps a place where the children go to look at their books. Now, your daily floor plan arrangement, it may not change, as I said, from day to day, but the allocation of the resources that you have in those play spaces will change, and they must change for the sake of a stimulative environment. So a critical aspect is that all the resources identified in the plan are available and they are on hand on the day. No use having something on your plan and it's not there for the children. And vice versa. Having something there available but it's not reflected on your plan. So resources should always be available so that children can select and perhaps request sometimes, you know, different alternatives. So the purpose of each area, it should be clear to the children. I do hope that you are having conversations with children and that you do welcome the children's voice, so that they understand the difference between the noisy area and the quiet area. Or that, you know, one particular area is where it's safe, perhaps to push, say, a doll's stroller, for example. And that as an educator, you do not have to continuously remind the children. They do have an understanding of the safety guidelines. Now, I'm not a fan of the word rules. I don't like saying safety rules. I believe they should be guidelines that we are teaching the children, and also that they can play a participative role in establishing these safety guidelines. Okay, standard 3.2, the environment is inclusive, promotes competence, independent exploration and learning through play. What should we consider? So we need to consider those indoor and outdoor areas are provided to provide access to a flexible and quality program for all children. Two key points there: quality program and all children. So I've talked about inclusivity, extremely important, and having a program that is of quality, that is recognising age and developmental levels of children. We need to consider play spaces that they are designed and they're flexible, okay, and they are responding to the individual needs for children to explore, to discover, that they are initiating their own play at times and perhaps guiding their play in both built and natural environments. How can we achieve this? The 3.2.1, that the outdoor and indoor spaces are designed and organised to engage every child in quality experiences. So you can see those words coming up again, okay? Every child, quality experiences in both built and natural environments. So we can achieve this by experiences that they are based on the children's interests. But staff encourage and engage. Oh my goodness, how important is this? Engaging with the children. Not sitting on a chair at one end of the room. You are participating with the children, engaging with the children. Now, far too many times I don't see this, and this is because we have staff that perhaps might be a little bit stale in the room, or perhaps, you know, they don't have that motivation or inspiration from their supervisors or their room leaders. Let's keep this excitement every day with the children. So regardless of age, ability or culture, we should be engaging with the children, making it fun. I was chatting with a student. I went for a bit of a drive, Wendouree, which is just past Ballarat, this morning, and assessing a student at kinder. And we were talking about how sometimes we get caught up in our lives when we've got quite a lot of maybe negativity, or we're experiencing something which is not that great in our lives. But when we get in that room with the children, it's like we forget about what's happening in our lives. If we can be really focused, if we can be engaging with children, it often becomes therapeutic for ourselves as educators, because we're able to be in the space of the child, see what they're seeing, get down to their level, experience what they're experiencing. So the play area should encourage children to develop confidence, independence, exploration, self-expression, and learning through play. And let's consider best practice. So I've talked about inclusion. I've talked about high quality. I've talked about engagement. What would you consider to be a best practice learning environment? How do you develop that? What are some key things that you can think of? I do invite you all to enter in the chat box. Okay, just considering, what do you consider to be best practice, and how do you do that? What do you consider? What do you reflect on? I certainly hope you're thinking about your personal philosophy, your service philosophy. Now that's influenced, by the studies that we have undertaken, and I do hope that you are, like you're attending tonight, professional development, learning more and more, soaking up that knowledge, networking with other people, and having an understanding of a wide range of the theories of the different philosophies about early childhood development, as well as the context of the environment, your collaboration with families and children who attend the service. And don't forget your own personal experiences that you can bring to early childhood. These are all reflected in the beliefs and the values of the service, and therefore that has an impact on your commitment to providing a high quality learning environment. So there are many theories that influence your pedagogical practices, which can be utilised to support your teaching and those learning strategies that you have. So there are a wide range of different theories that you would have come across in your studies, and perhaps sometimes we forget a little bit about the theories. So for example, the behavioural theory, when we consider that children's behaviour can be modified by the responses that they get from other people, and that's from the children or from yourself. That has been discussed in both Skinner and Bandura's theories. If we think about developmental, developmental is unique, and it's uniquely influenced by both nature and nurture. That it can be very holistic and it can be sequential, okay? So things happening in order, in a sequence. And this has been discussed in Jean Piaget, John Bowlby, and also Margaret Donaldson's theory. We have the socio-cultural, or sometimes it has been referred to as socio-constructivist. Okay, this is where children learn by the relationship. So Vygotsky discussed that quite a bit, when children are learning from their more knowledgeable other, the MKO theory. Okay, when you have the scaffolding, when your role as an educator is to scaffold, to build the children's learning. Okay, and then that goes back to the theory of ZPD, the zone of proximal development. So these are all things that you've probably had in your studies, but you know, may or may not be recalling when it comes to the work that you are doing with children. The critical development, this is where children have that sense of agency. They've got the right to make choices. We are supporting the children in making those choices and understanding that the choices that they make will have an impact on their environment, on the people around them, and on themselves. And the post-structuralist theory, this is referring to the challenges, the relevance of child development knowledge in developing an early education curriculum. Knowing that children are influenced by different social and cultural groups and having that into your program, but also within your physical space. So element 3.2.2, resources, materials and equipment are sufficient in number, organised in ways that ensure appropriate and effective implementation of the program and allow for multiple uses. How can we achieve this? To have experiences on low shelving. Yes, for children's self-selection. So making sure that children do have access, that it is on the respective shelving. And making sure that you are putting the heavier objects on the lower shelf and maybe the softer, you know, little teddies or something on the very top. So making sure that it's still a safe environment for the children. Okay, regular homes for activities to develop self-help skills. You know, those tubs where we can have plastic tubs on the shelves. They'll have a photograph of the toys or the equipment that belong in the tubs, and then everything has a place. So when it comes to teaching children about self-help skills and also packing away, that it's not such a difficult task, and the children are very aware of where in their physical space these toys and equipment belong. We must have sufficient resources which are age appropriate and adaptable for the particular age group. Now this becomes evident too, especially when we have family grouping. So we need to ensure if you are in the 3 to 5 room and your room is being used for family grouping, or remember that the younger age groups are coming into your room. So we need to make sure that the equipment and the toys are safe for that age group. So quite often it's better to have a family grouping in the younger age group room. You have the older ones coming in. So then you don't so much have that concern of having to have, as much as we do, yes, we want to have age-appropriate equipment and toys for the older ones that are coming in. It's not so much a safety concern, it's more that we are focusing on them being challenged and stimulated still for the time that they're at the centre. Identification of individual children's needs and adaptation of the education program. Beautiful. So considering those things, okay, we need to have a high quality learning environment that's going to maximise all areas of the children's learning and their development. So what I was talking about, the family grouping, really comes home here. When we're thinking about catering also for different learning capacities and learning styles, so we're able to invite children and families to contribute ideas and interests and questions. So always having the child's voice and the parent's voice and having the collaboration with other educators. Remember that you as an adult, you have a learning style. So do children. So generally, there are 3 general types of learning styles. We have auditory. So this is where we learn through listening and by talking about what we're learning or what we have learnt. And that's how it sinks in a little bit more, because we are talking about what we've heard. There's also visual learning styles. So this is where we like to see what we're learning. So we're more likely to remember what things look like, and that we might prefer to draw on those ideas and see how things work rather than being told how they work. And the third one is kinesthetic. So this is where we learn best through those hands-on experiences. And we're often needing to move about and be active. We remember what we did, or perhaps what somebody else did, rather than what I saw or what I heard. But as a trainer, I find this specifically when we are discussing provide care for babies and toddlers, and telling a student how to change a nappy, or having a written checklist. That's all good and well, but it's having that life example, even if it's just a doll, but in the room, having a simulation so they can get the feel that they can have that kinesthetic learning. They can have an experience. Now, sometimes one of these three areas of learning, the auditory, the visual, and the kinesthetic, will be favoured, will be preferred, will be dominant. But generally, we will have a mix of these three different learning styles, and so will children. So we need to be very much aware of that. So educators need to realise that all children do not learn the same way. Okay, adults don't learn the same way, so why should we expect children to? So we need to provide experiences and resources that appeal to the range of those learning styles: visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. We must also incorporate what we know about children's learning styles and consider, how is this going to affect our play spaces? How will this affect my physical environment? What do I need to do to make sure that I am catering to all children? So we need to realise that there will be an integrated learning between music or spatial awareness and body kinesthetics. So what I'm saying is that if we think about music, okay, that will be considering auditory learning, where you might have resources such as instruments or shakers or the CD player. But where there's learning in spatial intelligence or spatial awareness, that this is a visual learning style. It's about space. Perhaps you'll have mats for the children to roll on or to move around on. We need to have limits of movement and music, but it needs to be clearly defined to the children so they have an understanding. When we think about our body, that's when we're focusing on kinesthetic learning. When we have dance accessories, the sensory motor skills, such as the ribbons and the scarves, and those wrist bells and the waist bells that are great for dancing. Okay, last standard, 3.3. The service takes an active role in caring for its environment and contributes to a sustainable future. What does this mean? So once again, this is taken from the assessment and rating tool. Okay, so sustainable practices are embedded in service operations and consistently promoted in the everyday program. What's the active word there? Consistently. Not sometimes. Consistently. You want to have exceeding rating, you must be consistent in your practice. Children are actively involved in being environmentally responsible and supported to continue this involvement within the program and in the broader community. Okay. What should we consider? What practices do you have at your centre for environment for environmental sustainability? If you could give me some feedback, that would be great, just so I can check in that you're not all falling asleep. Okay, so what practices do you have at your centre for environmental sustainability? I do hope that that little fellow on the screen is giving you some clues. Yes, thank you, Megan. Yes, recycling paper, shredding paper. Yeah, worm farm, fantastic, that's Crystal. Yep, composting, beautiful. So promoting sustainability such as edible plants. Okay, well we have our veggie gardens, vegetable gardens for the children, fruit and vegetable gardens, fantastic opportunity for children to learn many skills about responsibility for other living things. And that's where the water saving can come into as well, so that we can teach the children about the safe and the appropriate use of water. Recycling, water waste, paper products. Now this is when we're thinking about workplace sustainability. If you're looking to consider what it takes to keep your business flowing, what sort of things would you be thinking about? Well, we need to make sure that we can retain current staff. We need to make sure that we can maintain current training. How would we do that? How would we retain the staff that we currently have? If you think about your role at an early childcare service, what keeps you there? Why do you stay at the centre and not go somewhere else? Okay, so it might be the environment, it might be benefits that you receive, it might be the morale. Okay, you might have friendly staff. Thank you. Yes. It might be that you are valued, that you are respected, that you have the appropriate breaks, that you have the love for children. Thank you. Yes, definitely that passion. Okay, and the other educators that you are working with have the same passion. So often we are a mirror of those around us. So we're always striving to be with people who have the same beliefs and values as we do. And sometimes we don't find that. Sometimes we find an environment that does not support our beliefs and values, and we need to make that choice. Is this the place where I need to be right now at this point in my life? So that's something, if you're a member of management, that's something that you need to be considering. How to keep your staff, how to maintain the workplace sustainability. Provide information to families regarding sustainable practices, yes, so they can take on board what you are doing at the service. So 3.3.1, how can we achieve this? Sustainable practices are embedded in service operations. We need to have sustainability policy and procedures within our service. Consistently, there's that word again, consistently promote sustainability practices in the service with staff, children and families. Consult experts and work with other services with sustainability practices. Yes, it's all about the networking. If you go to a workshop, a face-to-face workshop, and you are meeting other educators from other centres, talk with them, find out what they're doing at their service. Find out about the strategies that they use. What are their practices? That's how we learn. We learn by having discussions with other people who are in the same sector or industry as we are. So there we go, recyclable bins. Reuse, recycle. Okay. 3.3.2. Okay, we're nearly reaching the end. Very conscious of the time. Children are supported to become environmentally responsible and show respect for the environment. So this is where we have a vegetable garden, we can teach children about how we can be environmentally friendly and how we can grow our own fruits and vegetables and use them in the menu. If you're growing strawberries, okay, and you're teaching the children about harvesting and picking those strawberries, how about making some strawberry muffins, for instance? So where children can see how we are using these foods that we are growing ourselves. Children are encouraged to participate in sustainable practices such as reuse, recycle. So often we are asking parents to bring perhaps cardboard or recyclable products from home. Once again, we need to be very careful about the products that we or the materials that we are having that are being brought into the centre, especially egg containers and also toilet rolls. Toilet rolls are a big no-no due to hygiene, but the paper towel roll, that would be acceptable. Children are involved in being encouraged to be environmentally active within the service, caring for the garden and pets. So many centres might have rabbits or they might have chickens. So we're teaching the children about caring for other living things. And this brings on such beautiful lifelong skills when children are learning about animals and the garden and how to care for them. It brings in some beautiful skills that help develop that sense of social responsibility and social responsiveness. At the centre as a whole, being involved in community sustainability, such as having a community garden plot. How lovely would that be, to take the older children on an excursion to a community garden. I worked out at Balan, which is there on the way to Ballarat, and on a Wednesday they take the children to the library, the older children, the kinder children get to go on an excursion to the library. And it's fantastic. It's just a really, really lovely idea. And this particular centre is not that we're talking about sustainability, we're talking about community. This particular centre has a project and has an affiliation with the aged care facility at Balan. And on a Friday, the elderly who are mobile, they come and spend time in the baby's room. And I think that's just beautiful. And those elderly that are not so mobile, the kinder children go to the aged care facility and do arts and crafts with them. So I think that's just, it's really, really nice. And it's teaching children about giving back to the community, which I think is just awesome. Okay, so we have a list of resources that we have used for the PowerPoint slides tonight. So there's a list there for you. Once again, you will get a copy of these slides in a PDF format, so no need to frantically write down those links. And once again, I have referred to the guide or the assessment and rating tool, which is accessible via the ASEQA website. And I do trust that you are all familiar with ASEQA. So upcoming webinars, as I said, they're delivered every 2 weeks, every fortnight on a Monday at 8 o'clock. In a fortnight, in 2 weeks' time, which is the 23rd of May, we have Quality Area 4 staffing arrangements. All webinars are $20 each and do include a certificate of participation and a copy of the PDF slides for your reference. I I do like to give a little bit of a bonus at the end. So tonight's bonus is 1 hour of phone coaching. This can be a personal or professional issue. All you've got to do is to email me to let me know that you are interested. This is free. Do not have to pay for this. My usual charge for 1 hour of phone coaching is $150. So that is an awesome opportunity for you to take on some personal or professional development through my life coaching. Now, the registration links for the upcoming webinars, I do set them in advance. So there is a full rotation of webinars, so the full 7 quality areas you will see on that Facebook link, and you will be able to, that will be the registration links. So once again, now if there's anybody on the call that has not paid for this evening, I have in good faith registered or accepted your registration for tonight, so you would have received an invoice. So if you could pay that, that would be awesome. And so with registration, when you register, you will get a confirmation. I will invoice you, and on invoicing, then I will approve your place at that webinar. I do give you a due date for that invoice to be paid, so that can be paid on time. That is just as awesome. Okay, so a huge thank you. Thank you so much. So TRAINS, that's an acronym. So we are Training Resources and Innovative Network Solutions. And we totally give thanks to you. I'm always giving gratitude. I'm always gracious for those that take the time out. So thank you so much for your participation tonight. I really enjoyed having you on the call. Now, TRAINS is a service. So we are a combination of 3 early childhood consultants, and we can provide a number of services to your centre. We can provide individual needs analysis for the educators at your early childhood service. We can provide customised on-the-floor training as we do the webinars as well. And we can also come in and do professional development workshops. We have a series of those, and they are face-to-face. So should your service be interested in any of those, please shoot me an email, and I'd be happy to make contact, come out and have a chat with the director of your service. So thank you once again. Loving feedback. Thank you, Crystal. Yeah, loving having you on the call tonight. Hope to have you again. Yeah, Megan, thank you so much for attending tonight. It's been awesome having your interaction. Very much appreciative of that. And yeah, if there are no other questions, we have just gone past the 9 o'clock mark, 1 minute past 9. So I do appreciate it once again, and look forward to having some registrations for the 23rd of May in 2 weeks' time. So I will stay on for just another minute or two, just in case there are questions that you have. And yeah, other than that, have a fantastic 2 weeks, and hopefully we'll see you on the call on the 23rd. Okay, so no more questions. That's great. So yeah, once again, have a lovely fortnight, and yeah, have a good night. Thank you.